Hey there, Ian Koniak, and good morning. I just had a baby boy on Thursday, July 23rd. His name is Luke, and he's healthy, mommy's healthy. Super excited to share that. And today's tip of the day, or tip of the week really, is comparing labor and having a baby to enterprise sales. And I thought I'd have a little humor with this and share what having a baby and working a large enterprise sales deal have in common. So the first thing they have in common is that it takes time. They take time. In fact, it takes about 9 months to have a baby if it's a normal term pregnancy, and large enterprise sales cycles take the same. Typically it's 6 to 12 months for an average sales cycle. Sometimes it takes 2 years. So the key is to be patient. You also need to nurture the baby while you're going through pregnancy. You got to watch what you eat. You can't strain and exercise too hard. You need to make sure that you are doing the right things to foster a healthy pregnancy. And the same thing during a sales cycle. You need to nurture that sale, meet with the right people, and make sure that you build the demand plan, and ultimately that you take care of the sales cycle before it ever gets to a close point. The second thing that they have in common is you need to have a game plan going in. You need to have in sales a mutual sales close plan, meaning here are the next steps to get the deal closed. If you don't have a plan, the deal will not close. What are the decision criteria that your clients need to make a decision? What is their buying process? Who else needs to be involved to get a green light? Is it a committee? Who are the key influencers that we haven't met with? Do we have to talk to end users? Same kind of thing, right? In birth and in pregnancy, you got to have a birth plan going in. Are you going to have an epidural? How are you going to manage the pain, the labor pains that go in? My wife and I, spent a lot of time thinking about our plan. We had music, we had candles, we had, infused essential oils that you can smell to manage the pain. If we didn't have that plan, it would have been like, what do we do? Third thing that you have in common is you got to practice, right? Before we went in there, we practiced. We actually held ice cubes together to make sure we can, like big, handfuls of ice cubes for minutes at a time to practice the breathing. So when we got to the labor, or I should say when she went through it, because I wasn't going through it, she was familiar with that. Same thing on the sales cycle. You got to practice your presentations. You got to do dry runs. You got to make sure you're prepared going in and work out the kinks before you get in front of the customer. The fourth thing that they have in common is the plan often is going to go awry. Regardless of what you think going into labor, what your birth plan is, you might say, I don't want the epidural, and then when push comes to shove, the pain is too unbearable, you might get the epidural. Or you might have to get an emergency C-section if the baby gets stuck. In my case, our baby actually was stuck in the birth canal, and we had to use a vacuum, the doctor did, to pull the baby out. Thank God everything was okay. But you never have to stick to a plan. You've got to be flexible. You've got to adapt because things come up, just like in a sales cycle. And then the last thing in common that they have is that once you have the baby, right, you got to take care of the baby. You got to feed the baby. You got to nurture the baby. And once you close a deal, a lot of times that's when the work is just beginning. You really need to make sure that customer is successful. You need to make sure that they are getting the value that they signed up for. You need to make sure adoption is there. Otherwise, you're not going to grow that account. And we call it seed and grow when we're talking about enterprise sales. A lot of times that's the first deal of many in these large accounts. Obviously, a baby is growing once he's there, and you got to take care of him. That's a given. But same thing goes for a sales cycle. So I hope this is helpful and added a smile to your week, and hope you guys have a great week. Take care.